get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone. Without this thing being about me in any way, if you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you could take. As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience. He's a product of a lot of time. Many will say misplaced time or skewed times. I like his baggage. I like his baggage. I like that experience. And it might be couched as a less than glamorous hire. What I would say to you is I got here taking shots and not shoddy shots.
Obviously, we're also evaluating where it didn't go right, in terms of, this drought that people say we're in terms of a championship game or a Super Bowl.
Okay, this has nothing to do with him. Lie. He's out of his comfort zone. Lie. Biggest risk as a hire he could take. Lie. Dominique Foxworth, people want to hear from you, though, not from me. Good to have you with us. Do you think the Cowboys are closer to the playoffs right now or to a rebuild?
You set me up because we lead in with all that terrible press conference, and then I have to give you the answer that I gave last night when they asked the question.
Tell me.
It's like I think they're actually closer to the playoffs than the rebuild.
Okay.
Like with the talent that they have on that team, considering they have a quarterback, hard thing to find. They have one defensive player in Micah Parsons that's so good that you can build a defense around, and they have the receiver in CeeDee Lamb. That team, they need a running back. They need to address some other issues in free agency with their offensive and defensive line. I think this team is, particularly in the NFC, this team is closer to making the playoffs and having a run in the playoffs than a complete rebuild. Like, you look at the teams that are in complete rebuilds, they have none of those things, and they have three of the most important things in football.
Molly, let's ask a better question. Okay. Are they closer to a championship? Because that's what this is about. You see the Eagles, fair. You see the Commanders, you see the Lions, the 49ers, the Packers, those teams. Are they closer to a championship, Dominique?
No, they're definitely not closer to a championship. We have seen that these teams can rebuild really quickly, like with the Commanders you brought up. Like, that was a year ago, we thought the Commanders would be one of the worst teams in football. And then because of the draft, obviously, and some coaching changes, they're back in it. So I think the Cowboys have some pieces, but the additions that they're making are not the type.
But look who's moving those pieces.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest about something, Shannon.
Molly, did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
Stephen A., did you hear what Stephen said? He said we do an evaluation. Well, who's evaluating you and Jerry? Do y'all do an evaluation? Self-evaluation is the most important in any corporation. I guarantee you they ain't self-evaluating themselves. You keep talking about people say championship or big game.
Yeah.
What you mean? There ain't no air quotes. This is reality. This is actually, you have not played in a championship game in 29 years. That's not speculation. That's not conjecture or innuendo. That is factual. All the teams in the AFC have at least played in a championship game since you last. Go back and check. Jerry, if you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, can you explain to the people, the person that's had the most success under your tenure, why haven't you gone out and tried to find another one of those guys, a guy that you would have that control, like a Jimmy Johnson? Your most successful tenure, Jimmy Johnson, brought you 2 championships within the first 5 years. You haven't been to an NFC championship game in 29 years. Getting out of your comfort zone requires you to do something that's going to make you uncomfortable. Brian Schottenheimer will let you do. He won't have any control over Final 53 or free agency or the draft. That's what you're comfortable with, telling him what he can and can't do.
Yeah, self-evaluation. Shannon, to answer your question, that wasn't on the agenda. I just checked. Stephen A.
If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, here's the only solace you have. You're not the idiot New York Giants.
Oh,
that's
know.
about it.
Don't even get me. Apparently, they're talking to Shedeur Sanders, so I'm keeping hope alive.
Listen, the New York Giants, letting go of Saquon Barkley was bad enough, but how you handled it, that's something that's going to haunt them for a long time. That's something that's going to haunt them for a long time. The Cowboys ain't that.
That's fair.
That's about it.
Okay.
Outside of that, you look at, it's not just about the Commanders just having been in the NFC Championship game. Let's look at what's transpired. They just acquired new ownership in Josh Harris. with Magic Johnson and those boys. And you got a rookie quarterback. So we have to understand that organizationally, they've upgraded immensely, okay? And then you showed it by who you drafted with the second overall pick and what a star and a superstar he appears to be in the making. So that's the future. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles with Roseman, with Hurts, with Saquon, with their defense, with Vic Fangio leading that defense, with Carter and those boys on the defensive side of the ball. They're not going anywhere.
No,
so we're looking at a Dallas Cowboys team. Third place is what you're looking at within the NFC East.
Yeah.
Now, is it possible that you could make the playoffs being in third place in the division? Sure. You could have a couple of wild card spots from the same division, but it's highly unlikely. At least in the NFC East, that's what you have to look at. So I look at the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm looking at Stephen Jones in his press conference. I'm looking at Jerry Jones. I cannot believe the stuff that's coming out of his mouth. You know, my comfort zone. I'm like, it is. Shannon says all the time, he's not shocked. I just thought that there was a level of floor that you couldn't go. You couldn't go
lower. We're low. We're on the bottom.
And Shannon say, you go low, I go high. No, you go low, I go to the basement. That was Shannon, right? I go to the basement, right?
And I'm like, do that.
Jerry Jones is in the basement.
Yeah.
In the basement, and it's like he's like in the basement, and he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And nobody is telling him.
Well, I think he knows because he did say that. He did say this.
He doesn't know.
Let me ask you this, Stephen A., and then Neek and Shannon, you jump in. And I'm not defending the Giants. Like, I wish I wasn't a Giants fan right now.
It's indefensible.
I'm so frustrated with the organization. But to use your words, Stephen A., what's more egregious? The Giants letting go of Saquon. Now, keep in mind, the Giants weren't going anywhere regardless. Or the Cowboys not acquiring Derrick Henry when they had a shot.
Believe it or not, I think it's the Cowboys not acquiring Derrick Henry. The only reason I don't say Saquon is because you had already messed it up by giving Daniel Jones the money. If you asked me that question before Daniel Jones got his money, then I would have a different answer for you. But because they had already put themselves in that hole by giving Daniel Jones $40 million a year, of course you wasn't winning, and why pay Saquon? You just didn't have to treat him the way that you treated him in front of the cameras, on the microphones, and being dismissive of him like this. Because you're that GM, you embarrassed yourself. But in the case of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones' quote sealed the deal. I don't know if Derrick Henry would have been what he is with us.
I mean, you brought up
the
Dallas fan base, and I feel like they have to be incredibly frustrated after watching that press conference because there are a lot of highly coveted coaches out there. They let go of their coach that they had, and they went down to their offensive coordinator, who was not a highly coveted coordinator. Like, it's hard to get excited about it. And then on top of it, the sales pitch that Jerry Jones presents is not a very good one. He's a guy with a lot of baggage, but I like his baggage.
I know.
And sit right next to him.
I know. That's
this guy's a risk. And I'm supposed to be at home as a Cowboys fan, now we got it. We got baggage and risk.
They've got baggage.
To take over.
I've only heard that term in dating, not in hiring.
It's bad.
Hey, Fox, you and Stephen, they can appreciate this. Hey, you take your girl home, Mom. She got a lot of baggage, but I like her baggage. I took a risk with this one. Boy, if you don't get this thing up out my house, that's what Jerry Jones said. This man got baggage. How do you present? You tell somebody this is your new coach, this is your new other, and you like, man, they got a ton of baggage, but I take a risk on this one.
And Shannon, we got to go, but not to torture the metaphor in terms of the baggage. Why say it on that stage when you're trying to big up your guy and your hire? Why bring up his skeleton in the closet? Like, that is so foul. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
He said right next to him. He said, you're a problem. You're a risk. But hey, I like it.
He like this age.
Yeah.
Steve A., he point like this here. He got a lot of baggage, but I like to take
what is happening over here? Brian Windhorst said earlier that Miami Heat could be a mini series. This doesn't need to be a mini series. This is just a big old series. All right, guys.
Hey, Blue and Silver Nation. Welcome to another video here on the channel where we talk about everything related to our beloved Dallas Cowboys. And guess what? Today we have a bombshell that could completely shake up the upcoming season. But before revealing this big news, I want to hear from you. What do you think the Cowboys need to get back to the top of the NFL? Drop your opinions in the comments and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Now, let's get to the facts. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill, one of the most explosive offensive weapons in the NFL, seems to be unhappy with the Miami Dolphins. After a disappointing season and failing to take his team to the playoffs, the player has made it clear that he does not want to stay with the franchise. With a contract that runs through 2026, there hasn't been an official trade request yet, but the rumors are already heating up. And who decided to jump ahead in this story? Yes, none other than Micah Parsons. The Cowboys linebacker went straight to the point and posted on social media, inviting Hill to wear the blue and silver jersey. We could be the fastest duo in the league. And there's also no state income tax. In Texas, wrote Parsons, trying to convince the wide receiver to consider Dallas as his next destination. Now think about this. Can you imagine Tyreek Hill catching passes from Dak Prescott? It would be an incredible turnaround for an offense that needs more explosiveness and dynamism. And that's not all. The Cowboys also had a disappointing year, missing the postseason for the first time since 2020. A reinforcement of this caliber could put the franchise back on the road to the Super Bowl. But is this move really possible? Despite wanting to leave, Hill has not officially requested a trade, and Dolphins general manager Chris Greer has stated that the player is still part of the team's plans. Even so, we know how quickly things change in the NFL, and if an opportunity arises, the Cowboys need to be ready to act. So, Cowboys fans, what do you think about this possibility? Would Tyreek Hill be the missing piece to get us back to the top? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this news with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything about our Dallas Cowboys. See you next time.